Hi students, today our session is reproduction in plants. I already discussed yesterday what is a reproduction, how reproduction in plants and structure of the flower. The remaining part, pollination, fertilization, we will discuss in this lesson, in this session. Like animals, plants also reproduce to bring younger ones. These are vegetative reproduction and sexual reproduction. Leaf, stem and root are vegetative reproductive parts. In flowers are most attractive parts of this plant. They are sexual reproductive part of the plants. We already discussed the structure of the flower yesterday. Now coming to the pollination. What is a pollination? Pollination is nothing but what, students? The transfer of anther. The transfer of anther. In that anther, what we have? Pollen grains. Yellow color pollen grains. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is known as pollination. Sorry students, here not anther. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is known as pollination. Pollen grains are nothing but what? In that flowers we have stamens. In that long filament like stamens ends with a bed like structure, that is nothing but what? Anther. This is the stamen. This is the anther. In that anther we have pollen grains. Yellow color. See hibiscus flower, small dust like particles, yellow particles are anyone see that yellow particles? That is called pollen grains. That pollen grains enter from anther to stigma is known as pollination. Pollinations are different types. What are they? If the transfer of pollen grains takes place within flower is known as a self-pollination. Within flower means same flower. Okay, the transfer of pollen grains in the same flower is nothing but self-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains between the different flowers, same species but one flower to another flower is nothing but what? Cross-pollination. What is the mediators of this cross-pollination? Insects. Which type of insects? What are the agents of this pollination? Air, water, animals, insects, sometimes human beings also. These are the agents of the pollination. In self-pollination, insects are the major agents. But cross-pollination, so many agents are present. The carry of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Insects like butterflies. What is the why butterflies are sit on the flowers? It sucks the nectar of the flower. When it is sucks the nectar of the flower, the pollen grains, the yellow color particles are stick onto the legs of the insects. These insects carries that pollen grains to the another flower. They leave their pollen grains in that flower of the stigma. They reaches to the gynecium through the style. Like that, fertilization is going on. See here, the insects like butterflies sucks the nectar of the flower. At that time, pollen grains of the flowers stick on the legs of the butterfly. When the butterfly goes to the another flower of nectar, the pollen grains have stuck on its legs, fall into that flower. This is nothing but what? Cross pollination. Example of cross pollination. Next, coming to the fertilization. What is fertilization? Fertilization. During the germination of tube grows from these pollen grains, these tubes ultimately reaches to the ovary together. If the pollen grain enter into the style, through that style it reaches to the gynoecium ovary. In that ovary we have ovules. These pollen grains fuse with that ovules and form, see this picture. When pollen grains are enter into the stigma, through this stigma, from this stigma through this style, these pollen grains are enter into the ovary. In that ovary what we have? Ovules. The fusion of male gametes and female gametes fuse together to form a zygote. What we get? Zygote. The male part fuses with this female part of this ovule of this ovary, and the fusion unit of male and female parts to form a structure called zygote. This is nothing but what? Fertilization. See here, fusion of male part of flower to the female part ovary to form a structure called what? Zygote. Zygote. This process is nothing but what? Fertilization. In this fertilization we get zygote. This is the sexual reproduction. Pollination and fertilization is totally sexual reproduction. Plants reproduce asexually also. Now coming to the asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is carried out through the roots, stems and leaves. In Bryophyllum, leaf is a reproductive part of this Bryophyllum. Around the surface of this leaf, around the leaf, a small bud-like structures are produced. That bud-like structures are fell into this ground. They will produce into a new one, Bryophyllum. Now coming to the rose plants and hibiscus. You cut the any part of this plant, small part, you put into the soil, they will develop into a new plant. These are the asexual reproduction. Okay. The most interesting thing that plants have, baby plants can grow even without formation of seeds. That is without sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, we form the seeds. Asexual reproduction, we don't form any seeds. Vegetative reproduction. Production of new plants through the vegetative parts of the plants, that is root, stem and leaf, is known as vegetative reproduction. This is also called as vegetative reproduction. It is carried out by root, stem, leaf. Okay, are you understood? Root, stem and leaf. These are so many types. Budding. One of this method is budding. What is the budding? Potato. In that potato, we observe a small eye-like structures, black color dot-like structures. These are called eyes. These are called what? Eyes. You cut this part and produce into new ones. These eye-like structures are produced into new ones. This is nothing but what? Budding. See this Bryophyllum leaf. Each piece of this eye is produced into new one. In this Bryophyllum leaf, this is the Bryophyllum leaf. Okay. Like this have Bryophyllum leaf. Bryophyllum leaf I will show in another video. Around the Bryophyllum leaf, a small bud-like projections are present. These each bud, this portion is fell into this down. It will develop into new one. This is a Bryophyllum leaf. Okay. Around the surface of this leaf, small bud-like projections are present. These projections are fell down into this ground. It will develop into the new one. This is the one of the vegetative reproductive method. Through these leaves also we produce the new ones. Salio, carrot, turnip, radish. These are the roots. Potato. How new plants are formed? Through the eyes. In this potato, new plants are developed by the eyes. Onions and garlic and tubers are new plants are formed from the bulb. Corns, which is modified stem. Bryophyllum new plants are grown from the buds on the leaf. Here we have small buds. These are produced into new ones. Sugar canes, a stem grows root at the nodes. We have nodes in the sugar cane. Anyone observe that nodes? Here we cut that nodes are develops into new ones in sugar cane. Mint, strawberry, chrysanthemum, stem creeps along the ground and strikes the roots into the nodes. Like this chrysanthemum, the plant is grow like this horizontally. Jasmine also. This is the one of the vegetative reproduction. Now coming to the budding. Anyone observing this bakery to produce a puffiness of these cakes, they mix the yeast to the batter. Why? Because of that yeast, the puffiness of the cake is formed. Yeast grows with the help of a small bud-like outgrowths, which increases in size and break off from the parent plant. A small like these buds are appear. These small buds are appear in this yeast. This process of reproduction is called what? Budding. This process is nothing but what? Budding. Reproduction in plants. Sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In this sexual reproduction, pollination and fertilization is most important ones. What is a pollination and what is fertilization? In asexual reproduction carried out through the root, stem and leaf. Give one examples. Through roots and stems and leaf. Budding is produced by a small bud-like structure on the yeast is nothing but what? Budding. This is the reproduction in plant, students. If you like my video, please give a big thumbs up, hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel. If you have any doubts, please comment in a comment section. I will try to explain that. Share my video. Thanks for watching.